Hello, welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. My name is Clifton Johnson. I'm the founder of the Empower Series, and welcome to the Empower Series podcast. I'm glad you're able to join us tonight, and we're going to go into a topic that is a lot of people have been asking me about this. It's really, how do you create wealth? So we're going to talk about the specific strategies for creating wealth. So this is going to be very, very important for you to look at, save, and come back and review. But we're also going to talk about how do you really define wealth? So wealth is different for everybody. So I'm going to give you some concept of how do you define wealth for yourself, and then along with that, what are the step-by-step strategies you can use, you can implement, put into action to create wealth for yourself. Very, very exciting. I'm very happy about this. I'm also going to share with you some thoughts that I had. I've shared with you earlier that I normally wake up in the morning and I look at my motivational website called greatday.com. That website had a message about being inspirational. So I'm excited about this. I'm going to share with you what I do to keep that inspiration going. My intent today is to give you inspiration to act on any ideas that might come up for you to put into place these ideas to help you manifest your dreams and creating wealth for yourself. And then I'm also going to share with you some of the challenges I run into, the self-doubt, the limiting thoughts that I run into, and share with you how I overcome those with the intent to inspire you to, again, take action on the ideas that you have that your creator is giving you and giving you all of the resources to achieve. That being said, before we dig in, like I always tell you, go ahead and share this link with someone else. There's somebody in your circle that can benefit from hearing about this message. But don't worry if they're not able to watch it now, because we keep all of our programs on YouTube indefinitely, so they can come in and look at this again. You can share it later, and you can also look at it again to implement, because repetition is mother's skill. So right now, go ahead and get your pens and paper ready. I would like you to take some notes, because note takers are money makers. If you don't have the ability to take notes right now, go ahead and listen to it, soak it in, but please come back and look at this again and maybe have a watch party with other people. So with that being said, we're going to talk about how to create wealth for yourself and how do you define wealth for yourself. There's a few books that I have here. One of the books is The Millionaire Next Door. I'm going to talk to you about that. Another book that I found has a lot of good wisdom in it and strategies is The Complete Idiot Guide to Getting Rich. So that's a catchy title. Definitely has some good principles in here. So I'm going to go through these two books to help you identify what wealth is to you, as well as what are the strategies. And then I'm going to share with you some thoughts that Dennis Kimbrough came up with in his Wealth Choice, Success Secrets of Black Millionaires, but this is for all millionaires. So those are the three books I'm going to go over. But also, like I shared with you, I'm going to talk about some challenges that I go through every day. And some of these challenges you can probably relate to because they're universal challenges, and how to overcome them. And I thought about that because this past Sunday I was listening to a sermon by Dr. Freddie Haynes. He's the senior pastor of Friendship West. And there was a theme that has been running across me for the past 2 weeks. Have you heard of the term called fake it until you make it? So a good friend of mine, a real estate agent, wrote this book called Practice It Until You Make It. But Dr. Freddie Haynes had a message last Sunday, and it was talking about faithing it. So faithing it until you make it. And so I'm going to share with you the strategies that I've used to overcome, to battle every day the territory over my mind. I've shared with you before, when we wake up, we've got to be focused about what's important to us, looking at our vision board, speaking our affirmations and speaking things into existence, because the most challenging thing that we have to do in our lives, in my belief, is believing in the vision that we have for ourselves in our lives when our current circumstances are so contrary to what our vision is. So those are the things I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to start with defining wealth. So what is wealth to you? In the description of the video, as well as in the chat, and if you're watching this live, go ahead and give me a shout out to let me know where you are, where you're watching from, as well as what are some of your ideas about what wealth is for you. So what is wealth to you? The easiest way of defining wealth is by numbers, and I'm going to share with you how a way of doing that. But before we get into that, there's a link to this worksheet in the description, as well as in the live chat. And this is called the Wheel of Life. So there's a will, and each segment of the will or spoke of the will has a category of life. So it might be your health, your finances and family, your significant other, personal growth. It might be fun and leisure, your environment. It could be your career as well as money. So each one of these is an area of your life that could be measured as wealth, because all of the money in the world may not help you if you don't have good health or if you don't have enriching relationships around you. So wealth is more than just money, and I would encourage you to take the time at least every year at least to sit down and look at where would you say you are. How would you define a 10 from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the best? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would a 10 look like if you were wealthy in all of these different areas of your life? And then, where would you assess yourself? So if in the area of health, you say a 10 would be you got ripped abs, you got perfect weight, you got all of your BMI is on point, that would be a 10. And if you right now are at a 7, then put a 7 in that square there. And then if you look at money, and let's say if money is that you're financially independent, you don't have to work if you don't need to, that's a 10. Or you're on track for retirement, that's a 10 for you. But where are you today? Are you not saving enough for retirement? Do you have debt that's getting in the way? If you are more of a 7 or a 6 or a 5, then you put a 5 in that area. So in each one of these spokes, go ahead and put the number of where you are today from a basis of where you would like to be. If you don't do that now, that's fine, but this is an exercise that will help you look at it holistically about what is wealth to you, because it's more than just money. However, if you are going to measure it with money, what's a good way of doing that? So there are several ways of calculating that. One way of measuring wealth is by looking at what's called your net worth. And so your net worth is simply all of your assets or things of value, whether it's your savings account, your checking account, any kind of liquid assets, even your investments or assets. You can have hard assets that are not liquid, like real estate or precious paintings and coins. So all of those assets, you add all of those assets up. You look at your debts, the things that you owe. So it might be your mortgage, or it might be credit card debt, car loan, student loans, and you look at all of your liabilities. You subtract your liabilities from your assets, and then what's left is hopefully a positive number, and that's your net worth. For some people, if you're just getting started and you're accumulating your wealth, you might have a negative net worth, but whatever it is, that's your number. So if we look at that number as one way of measuring wealth, the question is, what is wealth to you? Now, in the Millionaire Next Door, there's a way that they've used to calculate wealth, and I'm going to share that with you. If you look at what should your net worth be if let's say if you're 25 and you're just starting working, you're making $50,000 a year, you just started saving, it's not like you might have a high net worth. Or maybe if you're in your 30s or 40s, you're making $100,000 a year, how much net worth should you have? So in the Millionaire Next Door, this book is simply a collection of information about millionaires that the two authors, Thomas Stanley and William Danko, they're both PhDs. They went through, did an extensive study of all millionaires in the United States. Back there at that time, there's around 3.5% of the population were millionaires in the United States. So that was like just around, 35 million people. And basically what they found was you can have a millionaire next door and not even know it, because a millionaire does not look like the typical people that you would normally think of, like living in a big house, got nice cars, nice clothes. That might be an indication, but when you really look at it, they might be spending all of their money. So really, wealth and net worth is not really how much money you make or how you look, but it's how much money you really keep. How much money you have in assets that are generating income. And if you do the calculation of taking your assets and minus your liabilities, how large is that number there? And that's a measure of net worth. So there's two questions that this book answers is what should your net worth be given your age and your income? and then how much is considered wealthy. So I'm going to share with you an equation. An equation of what should your expected net worth be. So you can write this down or come back and listen to it. But your expected net worth at any age and income level is your age multiplied times your pre-tax annual income divided by 10. So let me say that again. So you take your age, you take your pre-tax annual income. So let's say you make $100,000 a year, and let's say you're 40 years old, and then you divide that by 10. So if you look at that, if your age is 40, you make $100,000 a year, divide that by 10, or you multiply 40 times 100,000, then you divide by 10, that's $400,000. So you look at that as being a net worth that you should have at your age. So go ahead and do your own calculation. Now, whatever that number is, that's a reflection that you are a good saver. That's what this book is saying, that you're a good saver, you are on the higher echelon, you're above average when it comes to saving money. Now, if you're low, if you have less than whatever number you calculate, then that means you're below average. And that's all this book is saying. So just to give you a starting point. Now, what they also say is if you're wealthy, you're on the upper echelon of saving money and accumulating wealth, then your net worth should be 2 times that number. So if you're 40, you make $100,000 a year, your net worth should be $400,000, they're saying, if you're a good saver, an accumulation of wealth. And if you are wealthy, then you should have $800,000 or more. And that's what their study has shown. So again, they've looked at a number of millionaires throughout the United States. They captured all of this data, and they said, okay, if we're going to measure net worth as a sign of wealth, what should your net worth be based on your age and your income? And then how much is considered wealthy? So that could be a benchmark. Now, if you're doing those numbers and you're nowhere close to that, then you need to be listening to this episode. If you are above that, that's even good. I'm going to share some things with you, and you can contest and testify that this is right, this is what happens. But what they said here in the very beginning is that if you want to be wealthy, unfortunately, many people are not, because they're not doing the necessary steps to become wealthy. To build wealth takes discipline, sacrifice, and hard work. So discipline, sacrifice, and hard work. When I go through the strategy, I'm going to share with you that it is not what you really think. It's not finding the sexiest investment. It's not cryptocurrency, real estate, or starting a business. It's practicing certain disciplines on a regular basis and planning and budgeting and saving and not spending all that you make that determines your ability, your likelihood of becoming wealthy. What it also says is that if you are willing to make the necessary trade-offs with your time, energy, and consumption habits, you can begin building wealth and achieving financial independence. And the Millionaire Next Door book is a book to start reading. I would encourage you to read it. I'm not going to give you a book review, but it's not a page turner. So it has a lot of data, but it really is interesting when it talks about what are the characteristics of a millionaire. What do they do? Where do they shop? Where do they live? What cars do they drive? What type of investments do they have? How do they get rich? And also, can you become wealthy? And what are some strategies? So great book, but I wanted to share that with you. Go ahead, write down the equation. Again, it's your age times your annual income, pre-tax income, divided by 10. That is a good benchmark of the net worth you should target for. If you don't have that net worth right now, then that's what we're going to talk about. How do you practice some discipline to get to that point? If you have that net worth, but you're not 2 times that because you're not wealthy yet, per their definition, then we're going to talk about some strategies that you can implement to get yourself on a higher end of being a good wealth accumulator. So I wanted to share that with you. The other thing I wanted to share with you are, what are the strategies, right? What are the steps in the strategy to become wealthy? I will tell you that the answer is out there. If you look at the Empower series, we do a number of workshops on different topics, whether it's visioning and goal setting, entrepreneurship, getting your credit straight, increasing your financial literacy IQ, preparing to buy a home, finding scholarships for college to improve your education or advanced education, whether it's your life insurance, your estate planning, which is what we're talking about this month in October. So there's a lot of resources out there. However, I'm going to go through and talk about this resource called Building Wealth, which is a beginner's guide securing your financial future. And this is produced by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. And you can find it again in the description section. I put a link down there as well as on the live chat. You can look at that as well and click and download this. It goes into a lot of details about how do you create wealth for yourself. But the steps are they're pretty simple. And it's going to be repetition when you hear of some of the things that I talk about. So the first thing it says is you've got to really define what wealth is to you. And one way of defining wealth is, relationships, family. There's a section in the workbook where you can fill that out for yourself. What does wealth look like to you? Is it being able to provide an education for your kids, being able to retire successfully, being able to travel? A lot of times we got to be careful because what wealth looks like to us is being a commercial thing. We think that living in a big house, having cars, and spending money is a matter of wealth. And I think a lot of that is, in this capitalistic society, what that does is make other people wealthy. But what is wealth to you? That's the first step. You got to define what that is for yourself and not take on somebody else's definition of wealth. And then you have to have goals. You have to know what are your goals. And I would say create SMART goals. So SMART goals has a specific target that you're looking for, whether it's the amount of money that you're saving, amount of money you want to accumulate, or it's also time bound. So you want to save money for a short-term goal within 1 year, or a midterm 3 years or 5 years. But whatever your goals are, getting out of debt, saving up an emergency fund, being able to max out your 401k savings at work, being able to max out a Roth IRA if you're eligible for that, starting a business, whatever that is, identify specific goals for yourself. That is the number one step in the basic guide of creating wealth. So once you identify your goals, the other thing you do at the same time is let's understand the language of being wealthy. So we talked about net worth. So the 4 things that are basic to know about setting goals, financial goals, is knowing about income, your different sources of income, whether it's earned income or investment income, passive income. And then you have your expenses, and then you have your savings and your investments, and then you also have your assets and your liability, calculating your net worth. So those are, you got to know the language. So there's a section in here that has terminology for, in the back, there's a glossary of terms. So in the glossary of terms back here, there's resources, worksheets. Hold on, here it is, glossary of terms. So there's a page here, this is page 29, has a glossary of terms. So this is a continuous learning process. Knowing things like maturity date, money market accounts, mortgage, municipal bonds, mutual funds, net worth, par value, payday loans. You need to know what that is to avoid them. Predatory lending, prepaid debit cards, pre-tax, savings account, Roth IRA, risk. So all those terminologies and definitions are important for you to know, because as you're meeting with a financial professional, they're going to talk about strategies, and you have to know the language. So in the very beginning, have goals, define goals. If you don't have any goals, if you're just waking up, drifting through life, chances are you're not going to be wealthy. So have some specific goals, learn the language of wealth, and then what you do with those 2 things, now you got to take a snapshot of where you are today. So what is your current financial situation? So what is your income? What are your expenses? Do you have enough left over to save into an emergency fund? Do you have debt that you're paying off? Do you have enough to invest for the future? So being able to know where you stand today and knowing where your money's going is critically important. So being able to track the inflow and the outflow of your cash is the basis for any financial decision you gotta make. And if you don't know that right now, if you can't pull up a piece of paper and show it to a financial professional as to where your money's going, then any advice that they're gonna give you is gonna be suspect. And that's something I need to tell you too. Everything I'm going to share with you right now is just information and it's just educational. I am not giving you financial advice right now. It is important for you to go to a financial professional, whether it's tax, investments, insurance, or an attorney, to really get specific advice that is tailored for you. So this is just general information. If you apply this, you'll be better prepared to meet with a financial professional. So what I was saying first is you got to look at where you are financially. Define the picture no matter how ugly it is, good, bad, or ugly. So what is your cash flow like? If you're not making enough income to meet your bills or to pay off your credit card debt, then we need to focus on getting your income up. And there's some strategies around how do you increase your income? How do you make yourself more valuable so you can apply for a job that pays you more? Or if your income is fixed at your job, what are some of the other things you can do creatively or innovatively, entrepreneurially, to sell things to get additional income? So that is your income and expense module or area, your net worth, identifying all of the assets you have. And I would say liquid assets are more valuable than hard assets that are hard to sell. Like your car is a depreciating asset, but it is an asset, you can sell that. If you don't owe anything on it, you're going to get all the cash for it. But if you have a loan, in some cases, your loan is greater than the value of the asset. So you want to identify all of your assets, and hopefully you have some valuable assets that don't have loans against them, and that is appreciating in value. So being able to identify your assets and know what all of your liabilities are, and being able to calculate your net worth is a starting point. So the first two things in the beginning of building wealth is having a goal to create wealth, however you define that, understanding the language of wealth, and then assessing where you are. Those are the steps in the very beginning that you should apply, whether you are working with a financial professional or not, just on your own. And this is part of it may not be the most sexiest thing to do, but it's definitely going to help you if you have a goal of creating wealth. The next step then, and this is like, people don't like this because I use the B word a lot, and it's called budget. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but you got to have a plan. You got to sit down and put pencil to paper. Once you know what your income is and what your expenses are, you should map out a budget for the entire year. It's not just per paycheck, or it's not just by month. You should know how much you're making for the entire year. If it's a salary, you know exactly when your paydays are. You should map that out. You have some certain deductions being taken out of your paycheck before your check is written to you or you're direct depositing it. So you know exactly how much is going to be deposited into your checking account every 2 weeks, every week, or every month, however often you get paid. And you should lay that out for the entire year of 2024, 2025. On your expenses, you have fixed expenses that are always the same, whether it's your mortgage or your rent, or if it's a fixed bill that's always the same, like usually your telephone bill. Those are fixed expenses where the amount doesn't change, and you know when it's due. That should be mapped out for the entire year. You also have fixed bills that may vary, like your utility bill, or maybe your water bill, or some other bill that you know is going to be due on a certain time of the month, but the amount might vary. So what you do is you create an average, and if it's a utility bill, you might want to increase it during the summer, lower it, or increase it during the summer for AC, adjust it for during the winter, however your bills are working, if it's electricity or gas. But at the end of the day, you should have a number for bills that you know you got to pay on a certain time every month. Those are considered fixed. Then there's other kind of expenses are called discretionary expenses. Oh, let's go back. Another fixed bill would be debt. So if you have credit card debt or a car loan or anything that you're paying on that is accumulating interest, if you're not paying it off all at once, that's also in your budget. And we'll talk about how you get out of debt. But going back to now, other types of bills that might be discretionary. So going out and eating, paying for gas, paying for leisure events, going out on a vacation, things like that. If you know that you normally take a vacation during certain times of the year, or during Christmas, you know you're going to have spending on gifts, then you should lay that out. So I'm going into a little bit more detail because it's very important for you to know where your money's going. And if you have not laid out a budget on either an Excel worksheet, a piece of paper, or you have a software package like Quicken or Mint.com where you can pull it up, and if I'm asking you how much money did you spend on going out last month, if you can't easily identify that by hitting a button or pulling up your worksheet, then you can increase and upgrade your personal financial software package. So that's the third step, creating a budget or a spending plan that allows you to achieve your goals. So going back and looking at your budget, if your goal is saving 3 to 6 months of your living expenses, you should know if your living expenses are $2,000, $3,000, or $5,000 a month or even more, you should understand, okay, you got to get either $10, $15, or $20,000 saved up, or $30,000 saved up over a period of time. How much are you saving every month, and are you able to keep it in a savings account? Can you do that? Most people have a revolving savings account. I mean, the money goes in and it comes right back out. And so how do you create a strategy where you put money away and you put it in a lockbox and you, out of sight, out of mind, you don't see it? So that's one way. And then if you also have things that are going to come up where you want to save for them in the future, you might have a separate savings account so you're not dipping into this lockbox for things that you know you're going to spend money on. So you have a certain amount of money that's being deducted from your paycheck. It's not even going into your checking account. It's automatic, out of sight, out of mind. That's going to accumulate over time. And then you have another savings account that you know you're going to pull money out periodically. And so I'm going into a lot of detail here because those are the specific steps. If you want to create wealth, this is not sexy. We're not talking about cryptocurrency and starting a business or doing real estate. We're talking about the basics of how people create wealth. You have to have a plan for it. You have to know the knowledge for it. You have to know where you stand financially, and you got to have a written plan. You got to put it on paper, put it in the system, and know what it's all about. In your plan, you also have to have what's called savings and investing. And in this booklet is a process that goes through how do you really budget for savings. And they have budget sheets, they have resources here for daily spending. They have a resource here for your monthly budget. They also have a resource here for, this is a summary, defining what wealth is for you, setting financial goals, what are your key building wealth strategies. We'll talk about that as a summary later. I told you we have a glossary of terms. There's resources. There's resources for youth education, adult education, fraud prevention. So there's a ton of resources, and all of this is available and it's free. It's free to individuals if you want to do this yourself. It's also free for community leaders like myself if we want to teach this. So this is the worksheet for your balance sheet, how you have your assets, your liabilities, and your net worth. So all of the things that I'm talking to you about, as I mentioned before, there's a link underneath the video. There's a link in the chat here that you can go to and you can use and apply. But just take notes right now. The other step, once you identify, again, what wealth is to you, your goals, you know where you are, you've got your budget, you should put in there, what are the steps to achieve my goal? How much do I need to save on a monthly basis for emergencies? How much do I need to save on a monthly basis to pay off my debt? How much do I need to be saving on a monthly basis to achieve my retirement goal? And then that's it. Now, if you can't set aside an amount of money for those things, or you can't set aside the right amount, then we got work to do. We got decisions to make. We've got sacrifices to make. That's where, if you want to change, you got to change your consumption habits. That's one area. You've got to also increase your income. But if you increase your income and you spend all of your income, then that's not making any progress as well. So there's work involved in that. And the other thing I would like you to do as a result of hearing this, because there's only so much I can go over in our brief time together, is the Empower series. We do workshops in person and virtually on every one of these areas. But we also provide coaching and counseling. You may or may not know that because only a few people have taken advantage of that. A few people have emailed thrive@empowerseries.com with some specific questions about what they want to do from a business perspective, getting out of debt, or getting meeting with certain professionals, whether it's real estate, whether it's legal or taxes. And so if you if you email thrive@empowerseries.com, we can go into more detail and I can get you connected to the right resources or give you some guidance and coaching to help you achieve your goal. But the other 3 steps here, once you identify your goals and you got your budget and you're saving and you're investing, there is a level of knowledge, and there's some basic investment knowledge here in the workbook, but I would tell you the foundation of any house, financial house, I would say is financial planning. Financial planning consists of a budget, your income, your expenses, your assets, your liability, and tracking. So you have to have goals, and then you have to have those components. The other portion of your base is protection and insurance. So that is protecting your wealth. So not just understanding risk and return of your investments, but it's also life insurance, it's health insurance, it's also property and casualty insurance. And so it might be homeowners insurance if you have a house, it might be renters insurance. But that foundation of a financial plan to create wealth, and then insurance are your foundations. And then as you start to save, you have short-term goals, which are vehicles that you can save into, where there's not a lot of high risk, because if you need that money, you got to get to it and you don't want to lose it. You got mid-term goals where there's some other investments you can invest in, and you have long-term goals where you can invest in riskier investments and get a higher return, but there's some level of risk. So in this situation, the book will give you more information than I can give you right now, because I told you this is just general information for educational purposes. But dig into this. Click on the link, pull it up, look at the worksheet. If you want more information, give me a call. The number is out there on my website, www.empowerseries.com, or email me at thrive@empowerseries.com, and we'll go into more detail. So when it comes to saving and investing, there's a lot you can learn, but you've got to sit down with a financial professional, educate yourself, or connect with us so that we can help you identify where to allocate your discretionary cash. Now, the other two things, or three things, are building up your credit if you don't have credit, and managing your credit well if you have credit, but you have made some missteps or you need to get out of credit. At the end of the day, you should not have consumer credit. You should not have it. Whatever the reason is, they're talking about good credit, bad credit. We can get into whether mortgage is a good credit or not. But at the end of the day, credit, when it was first initiated, was initiated for businesses to really start a business and to make more money than the cost of that debt. When we got into consumer credit, that's where it's upside down, because consumer credit means that you're buying things on credit. So if you're charging $100 for an item and you're paying that off over time, you're paying more than $100. And that's going backwards in creating wealth. So when it comes to consumer credit, the goal, if you have any debt, is to get out of debt, whether it's student loans or any kind of debt. One of the objectives you should have is to get out of debt as quickly as possible. But how does that look for you is going to be tailored for your specific situation. So, so you got define what wealth looks like to you. Learn the language of wealth. Go ahead and create a budget. Identify your current situation, like I said before. Save and invest for the future. Build credit or get out of debt, and then protect your wealth with the types of insurance. And we talked about insurance in September. But I want to bring that to your attention only because if you want to create wealth and you're identifying wealth as a number of your net worth, you've got to know what these things are so that we can sit down and create a strategy for you to build wealth. Very simple. Doesn't matter where you are. I know people who make $300,000 a year, have a good net worth, but when you look at their goals, they still need to accumulate more wealth. And that's where I'm going to talk about the Idiot's Guide to Getting Rich. So when you look at the Idiot's Guide to Getting Rich, I'm going to share with you what that book says, basically, because there's a couple of things here. There are 5 stages of wealth. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is identify the 5 stages of wealth that I think is very interesting, and I'm going to talk about the strategy that they encourage people to implement to accomplish their goals. So there's 5 strategies, 5 stages. I'm going to run through them real quickly and then go into more detail. So stage number 1 is, just write down, meet a target savings goal. So meet a target savings goal is number 1. Number 2 is to accumulate enough assets so that in investments, so that your return on assets meets or equals the amount of money you're saving every year. And I'll go back and calculate that. Stage number 3 is when the return on your assets is meeting your living expenses plus inflation. Stage number 4 is that your return on investments is really doubled your living expenses. So it's not just meeting your living expenses and inflation, but it's also keeping up with your increased lifestyle. And then number 5 is you got more money than you can ever spend in your lifetime. So let's talk about the different stages. And this is creating wealth. And this is the mindset that we should have as we're looking at implementing strategies. So phase number 1 was to meet a targeted savings goal. So for you to have a targeted savings goal, you gotta have a goal. So the focus on that piece is to identify what you want and identify how much money you need to be saving to accomplish that. In the very beginning, you are probably you don't have a lot of assets yet. Or if you have a lot of assets, you need to be saving more to accomplish your goal. So let's look at goal number 1 should be creating an emergency fund. Goal number 2, if you have any debt, should be getting out of debt. And goal number 3 is saving and investing enough money to achieve your long-term goals. So what are those? And in order to figure out what that is, you gotta be very specific on your goals, you gotta be time-bound, and you've gotta put pencil to paper and see how much am I spending, how much do I have left over, and can I actually save the amount of money I need to save to meet my emergency fund over a period of time, to get out of debt over a period of time, and am I saving enough for my retirement at age 60, 65, or whatever that is. So that being said, chances are most Americans are not saving enough. Most Americans never get out of this stage 1, to be real with you. And also, this stage 1 is gonna take you years, probably 5, 10, 15 years to even get to this point where you're actually saving enough money to achieve your goals. So the goal here is to accumulate savings and build a financial foundation. You also want to make sure that you are updating your goals on a regular basis, and you're not going to move to stage 2 until you actually complete stage 1. And stage 1 is going to take some time. Like I said before, if you achieve that stage 1, you're ahead of the game. You are ahead of the game. Stage 2 means this now. Let's say, for example, in order for you to save the amount of money to achieve your goal, just going to come up with the number, is $10,000 a year, right? So you have to save $10,000 a year to achieve your goals that you've identified. And when you're at stage 2, that means the actual return that you're getting on your investment. Let's say you have $100,000 invested, you got a 10% return on that $100,000. Then that's $10,000. So you actually have saved $10,000 out of your income, and the return on your investment is $10,000. So now you're in the first phase of stage 2, because your return on investment equals the amount of money you're saving every year. Now you're like doubling the amount of money you're saving because you're reinvesting your return. So that's what you have, enough accumulated assets to where your actual return from your investments is equaling the amount of money that you need to be saving. That's stage 2. Not that many people get there because they haven't gotten to stage 1, because they haven't identified how much they need to be saving. They're not saving enough money. But if you need to be saving enough money, that's like 20 to 30% sometimes of your income. And now, are you saving that amount of money? But if you look at how much your income is and how much you're saving, and then your returns are matching that, imagine how much progress you're making. So stage 2 takes some time as well to get out of, because stage 2, I talked about your return being equal to the amount of money that you're supposed to be saving is simply the first phase of stage 2. Stage 3, no, the second stage, or the second phase, I should say, of stage 2 is that you're doubling that. And so I'll go back to this simple equation. If your targeted saving goal is $10,000 a year, your return on your investment is $10,000, you're in the first phase of stage 2. If your return is $20,000, then you're in the second phase of stage 2. If it's $30,000 in your return on your investments, and your goal for saving is still $10,000, you're now in phase 3 of stage 2. So imagine you're going to spend some time in stage 2, but very few people get out of stage 1. If you're in stage 2, you're really accelerating your compound interest, your amount of money that you're saving, and you're making progress towards your goals. So those are the first 2 stages. Now, in the first 2 stages, you truly are focusing on saving, you're budgeting, minimizing your expenses, and learning about investments. That's your focus in phase 1 and 2. When you're in phase 3, that's when your return on investments match your actual cost for living for the year, plus inflation. So there's only 5% of Americans that ever make it to stage 3. Only 5% that ever make it to stage 3. But people make it, and you can make it too, but you gotta be disciplined. You gotta be willing to change your, redirect your energy, your thinking, your mindset, your consumption habits, and really build wealth. And then stage 3 now is if you're really at the point where you are able to make in from the return of your investments enough to actually live, then you're working by choice. Most people don't stop working because they're doing what they love. But at that point, that is truly one level of financial independence, stage 3. And like I said before, by the time people are retirement age, around 5% of the people reach stage 3. Stage 4 is when your return from your investments double your living expenses. So that's like, it's more than just matching your living expenses and keeping up with inflation. It's increasing your lifestyle, and you live in a great life. So that's stage 4, when your investments are doubled your actual living expenses. You truly are living or doing things that you enjoy doing. You're really focused on, in stage 3 and 4, really protecting your investment, understanding asset allocation, understanding risk models, and not jeopardizing your principal, because for you to get that much of a return from your investment pool, you want to make sure that you're not losing your principal. So that's stage 4. And then stage 5 is when you have so much income being generated that you can never spend that money in your lifetime. And there's a few people who reach that point. They usually reach that point when they have a business or some kind of income generating business or commercial property that they sell for multiples of the earnings. And now they're talking about very sophisticated estate planning strategies, a generation of wealth, and that is also possible as well. So those are the 5 stages of wealth that is talked about in this book, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Getting Rich. But now, what is the strategy for achieving those stages? As I said before, there's 5 steps. The first step is setting goals. So focus on your future. One of the reasons why people don't achieve wealth is because they don't put time to it, and that's not their thought. That has to be, right now there's so many things vying for our attention, whether it's TV, whether it's going out and partying, whether it's sports, whatever it is. But your goal, if it's creating wealth and having the financial freedom that you want in the long term, you've got to be very focused and setting goals and establishing SMART goals. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is developing a financial plan. And so if you can't tell somebody, it's interesting when I meet with clients and they're single and they're dating somebody else, and I ask them, so what is their wealth creation plan? Because if they're meeting with me, they have a wealth creation plan, they have a strategy, and we're implementing it. But in most cases, their dating spouse, they haven't even talked about that. You should have a wealth creation plan and a strategy that is so great to where when I hear it, I'm thinking, I'm throwing mine aside and I'm following you. So in addition to meeting somebody and having all the chemistry, you should really identify what is their wealth creation plan, what's their future, what are their goals, what are their values, what's important to them. So the second step to really getting out of phase 1 or stage 1 and going to stage 2, 3, and 4 of creating wealth is having clear goals and developing a plan that's going to help you get to that point. And the third step is building your income. So what we do know is that if you don't have enough income to meet your living expenses, that's another problem. It's like not being able to breathe. But if you make some good income, we should always be looking at diversifying your income stream, looking at what expertise you're developing and how can you, not only if you have a W-2 job, not only can you increase your value at your W-2 job, but what else can you do on the side to take your expertise or diversify your income stream to either write a book or provide some level of consulting or coaching or workshops to help other people achieve in the area that you're an expert in. Or maybe just some business systems. So look at franchises, look at other business models that don't necessarily require your time, but it does require your expertise and your business acumen to create systems that generate income without you. So that can help you as well, because getting to stage 3, 4, and 5 can be accelerated by you having a business. So step number 3, after you identify your goals and after you have a plan, is to create more income. That should be a thought that you're always thinking about, creating more income. You definitely should not be spending it all. So having a budget and saving money is very, very important, but the multiplier is increasing your income and not spending it. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is managing your debt. And step number 5 is as simple as living beneath your means. So the misnomer about wealth is that most people think that if you're making millions of dollars, you're a millionaire and you're good. But as the book, The Millionaire Next Door says, you'll find that people who spend all of their money or spend the majority of their money, they look like they're wealthy, living in a big house, got a lot of cars, and they're still in the phase of accumulating wealth. They're spending most of that, and they're jeopardizing their ability to move from stage 2 to 3 to 4 and 5. So the 5 steps again is have goals, create a budget, which is a plan, build your income and think creatively about where can you generate more income, manage your debt, and then live below your means. I went through that relatively fast, but I wanted to share this with you. Les Brown says that knowledge, like all this stuff I talked to you about, is just knowledge. Some of you may know this and you're just not doing it. Some of you know this and you're doing it, but it's just knowledge. At the end of the day, if knowledge was all we needed, then we will all be healthy, happy, and rich, right? If that's all we needed. We need something else, motivation, inspiration. We need something else that's going to inspire us to do the things that we don't feel like doing. So I wanted to share with you my day, right? So when I wake up in the morning, I always talk about me having a morning routine, but I'm telling you that my day is it can go either way. Because for those of you who know, I do have prostate cancer, right? So I'm dealing with treatment. I'm on I just finished my 23rd day of 35 radiation sessions. I'm also taking a hormone medicine that's reducing my testosterone. So it does affect my mood. It gives me hot flashes. I'm tired all the time. And it also affects a lot of different areas. So if you want to know what the side effects are of radiation treatment and hormone therapy, Google it, but it affects you, right? So I'm going through that. I'm also feeling the process of aging. I turned 63 last week, and I just went to the doctor to get a shot in my shoulder because it hurts. I'm going to see a doctor about my Achilles tendon later on this week, and I'm a candidate for knee replacement. So I'm dealing with that pain when I wake up in the morning. I do have unrealized dreams. I've had failures. I've been divorced. Relationships have ended. At this point during my transition, I'm actually not bringing in enough income that I would like for the Empower series to grow and achieve its goal, as well as myself personally, but that's a transition right now. So I'm pushing the envelope. I'm getting outside my comfort zone. But I have doubts. I have fears. I question what I'm doing sometimes. But, and I just wonder, it's like, am I alone in this? No. So if any of the things that I'm sharing with you, and I know I just went through them very briefly, if any of the things I'm sharing with you can resonate with, we're all in this boat together. But even though we're in this midst of having doubts and questioning sometimes and having fear paralyze us, there is a solution, right? And we can act in spite of that. And we can do good things in spite of that. We can inspire other people in spite of that. Like I told you before, we talked about my greatday.com motivational site. So today, that message was flow of inspiration. Embrace opportunities to be inspired, right? That's what I woke up reading about today as I was getting ready for my radiation treatment. It said, then pass along that goodness by putting forth the effort to be inspiring. So my intention with the Empower series and myself and my life and what I've shared with you is to be inspiring. So what I shared is that every day I wake up, I have a choice of thinking about those doubts and those things that I'm dealing with, or it's a battle where I'll tell you what I do to overcome that. But the first thing I do is I read this. So live so that inspiration flows through you. Tap into the life-enhancing energy as it does. Inspiration puts thoughts and values into action. It transforms time and resources into achievement. So we talked about goals, right? So inspiration puts thoughts and values into action. So it's more than just ideas. We have to act on them. It transforms time and resources into achievement. And so feeling inspiration as it reaches into the awareness of everything around us. Allow the benevolent energy to fill your spirit and animate your effort. Focus that energy in a productive, useful, loving direction. By so doing, you feed inspiration to reality itself and magnify its positive power. Inspiration can extend far beyond a sentiment of good feeling. When you facilitate the flow of inspiration through your own life and others, it makes the whole world a better place. So you remember I always talk about that we're all unique. There's 8.12 billion people in this world, and we all have a purpose. And Rock T says the road to success is always under construction. So we're always working. And like the book said, The Millionaire Next Door, what it takes to become wealthy, it says on page 5, it takes discipline, sacrifice, and hard work. If we're willing to redirect the time and energy in our consumption habits, we can all become wealthy. Wealth is not the same as income. I read about that. And so it's how much we make every year is not an indication. It's what we do with it. And so what I'm doing to overcome these negative things that I can focus on all day is I look at the fact that even though I'm dealing with some health challenges, I'm here talking to you now. So I do have a level of health that I can be appreciative of. I have my senses. I can see, I can talk, I can hear, smell. I can work out, do some workout to overcome the low energy that I'm dealing with my medication and radiation. So I do have a level of health. I woke up today. I wake up every day listening to Michael Collier talking about, hey, wake up. What do we have to be grateful for? What am I writing down in my gratitude journal? I have all these people around me who love me and support me, who are calling me, checking in on me. People I haven't heard from in a long time. People from college, high school. So I am blessed. I am resilient. There's a lot of times that I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, but I worked through it. And the key is to work through it, to get through it. I have a good support system, like I said. I look at my past accomplishments, and everything is an opportunity to grow. So everything we go through is an opportunity to grow. I used to say when I was growing up that I wanted my life to be an example that all things are possible. And whenever I deal with an adversity, I tell myself, well, Clifton, you wanted your life to be an example that all things are possible, so you can't have it easy. You got to have it hard, right? You got to show that you went through some hardship. So these things that I shared with you, the prostate cancer, the feeling of doubt and fear and questioning what I'm doing, the solution that I'm dealing with is working through that. And I told you in the very beginning that I heard the message by Dr. Freddie Haynes called Fake It Until You Make It. So here's what I understand. Faith is not really blind faith. You know, faith, they say faith is a substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen, right? So you really have to work on faith. And so I remember when I was growing up in South Central LA and I wanted to get out of LA, I wanted to play football and get a scholarship. There's so many years I had no idea whether I was going to get a scholarship or not, but I worked hard, I practiced, I woke up and I had this vision and I believed in it regardless of my situation. So whatever that is, whether you're mired in debt and you see yourself getting out of debt, or if you see yourself getting into a home but you have a low credit score right now, you don't know where the money's going to come from. You look at home prices being so high. You've got to believe and have faith that if you do the discipline of budgeting and getting out of debt and saving and looking at how you can increase your income, you can achieve it. So you got to have faith. And so faith is more than just blind belief. You got to put action into it. You just can't sit back, eat a bologna sandwich, and think things are going to happen. So what I do to strengthen my faith is I use visualization. I told you I wake up in the morning, I look at my vision board, and I say my my affirmations, and I actually visualize myself achieving my goals. It was really easy when I was young, and I was visualizing myself, running and breaking tackles and scoring touchdowns. I can't do that right now with my bad knees. I don't even run, actually. But what I do is I visualize myself achieving my goals during the day. I visualize myself having meetings and talking to people and partners and getting strategic partners and financial support to manifest this idea of how I want the Empower Series to grow and be global. And so I don't have all of those relationships yet, but I wake up in the morning visualizing myself achieving my goals. So for you, visualizing yourself achieving your goals of getting out of debt, of getting into that house or getting a new job, you got to visualize that before it happens. So visualization is one key to strengthen up your faith muscle. If you wake up, and like me, we got all these demons that we got to battle against, my visualization in the morning helps me do that. Like I said, affirmation. So just saying that I can do this. I'm capable, I can do this. I used to wake up and say, I feel good, I feel great, I feel good, I feel great, I feel good, I feel great. Give myself energy, I feel good, I feel great. I stretch, get on my Peloton, I feel good, I feel great, I feel good, I feel great. Give myself energy. So whatever your affirmations are, you got to speak it into existence. So I do that in the morning. The other thing I do is I have a gratitude journal. I write down at least 3 things, maybe even more, that I'm grateful for, and it always starts with the team here at AE Media Group. I am so blessed that the guys here are supporting me in this vision that I have. I'm so blessed that you are sitting here watching and sharing the Empower Series with other people. I'm so blessed that a few of you have decided to donate. Separate yourself with your money and donate to the Empower Series, where I can be a good steward and use that to grow the Empower Series. I am fortunate for Comerica Bank and Independence Financial, who are 2 financial companies who most recently have supported the Empower Series. So I am so blessed with all the people around me, and I know that as long as I'm continuing to take action, to move forward, to be positive and be an inspiration to other people, that the universe will respond, and I have faith that things will come about, because I believe that resources are around us that can help us take the next step to achieve our goal. And so whether I'm a resource for you in helping you achieve your goal in financial consulting or coaching, I know there's other resources out there that are going to help me manifest my dreams and my ideas. So again, I write down in my gratitude journal, I surround myself with positive people. I have a group of friends that I was having brunch with the other day, and it was really good, and I was thinking about the things I had to get done, and I don't remember saying it so directly, but I did tell them that, hey, this is fun right now, I really enjoy this. However, but if you guys are not growing, we can't continue to do this. And so they said it came across like more direct and harsher than I intended it to, but at the end of the day, 2 of them have gotten director positions in their field. They are growing, and so I surround myself with positive people who have goals, who are trying to achieve something greater than where they are today, and those are the things that I use to overcome negativity. So I visualize myself succeeding. I use positive affirmations. I use a gratitude journal, and I surround myself with positive people. To overcome doubt. Doubt is out there. It always happens, especially when you're doing something that's new. And so I challenge my negative thoughts. I'm aware of them. I meditate. I seek support. And more importantly, in the midst of anything, I take action. So especially if I have some doubts as to whether I can do something, I just go ahead and do it. And even if I'm harsh on myself and I say it's not good, I just think about what Emmitt Smith said. When he first picked up the football and played in high school, he was not good. But look at what he is now. So practice and repetition. So practice until you make it. Faith it until you make it. So I take action all the time. And there's power in perseverance. Power in perseverance. So what I'm going to do as I wrap here is I want to just share with you that you've got to enjoy your journey. Your journey is a testimony to other people who are going through the same thing that you're going through. And I share with you some of my challenges. Some of those challenges are universal. So if they're speaking to you, hopefully I'm giving you hope and inspiration. The action I would like you to take is to really put some muscle to your faith. So one of the things that you can do is you can reach out to thrive@empowerseries.com and let me know what are the next steps that you would like to take, where I can be a resource to you and an inspiration to you to help you take that next step. If you're sitting at I don't know, take some kind of action. Reach out to the Empower Series. Let 2 heads and come together and come up with some creative, innovative ideas to help you take that next step to achieve your goal. But really, I encourage you to listen to this again, share this with someone else. If any of this resonated with you and gave you some inspiration to take that next step to achieve whatever goal you have, whether it's in the area of wealth, defining what that is, please don't keep it a secret just to yourself. Christine, yes, praying for your health. Thank you. Increase wealth. Yes, thank you for being a blessing to so many. Clifton. Hey, Christine, I appreciate that. Victoria, good evening in the DFW from Florida. I love that. Hey, please provide comments either in the live chat or below. The comments are going to come up probably after we're finished here. We're kind of wrapping things up. But again, I really hope that what I shared with you resonated with you. I've given you some strategies and some insights with books. We didn't really get into the wealth choice, but I would say the wealth choice mirrors a lot of the comments that I've shared with you already. It just says it in different ways. One of the things that we all have to do is be lifetime learners. So I'm studying for my real estate license right now. So after this, I'm going to go back and put forth my hour. I plan on getting my real estate license in the month of October. So I'll come back on the live podcast and let you know when I pass that test. But I encourage you to take action. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being part of the Empower Series. Thanking you for being a part of this and getting from the Empower Series what you're supposed to get. Thank you for sharing it with others. Please let us know by clicking the survey on empowerseries.com to let us know how the Empower Series has impacted you. And please give more of your time, your resources, or your time, your talent, or your treasures to the Empower Series so we make a bigger impact in the world by inspiring people to thrive in every area of their life. Until we meet again, I want you to be empowered and inspired to thrive, and look forward to talking to you again. Be well.